Welcome to the Art of Boar. Boars are an important source of food in Age of Empires. While it can depend on the map, the normal amount you'll find around player town centers is 2. There's also elephants and rhinos, which bring a little bit more food, but to keep it simple, we'll just call them boars in this video. Now, for years, this is kind of how the standard boar lore would work. Use one villager to make the boar angry, run back to the town center, and a group of villagers fire enough arrows until the boar dies. The group then collects food from the boar, and that's that. You've just received 340 food. Now, at lower elos, this luring is a bit dangerous, and if you're not careful, villagers can die. I'm not at all implying that any of you out there relate to that, but at a high level, this has been extremely rare, which means what's happening in Hidden Cup 4 is very unique. Most pros are now trying something new. The thing they are doing is weakening the boar with the town center and finishing it off with the villager. Check it out. Villager lures in the boar. When it's close, players garrison villagers inside of the TC. They right-click the boar so it shoots arrows, wait for the proper number of volleys, and then set a gather point on the boar, ungarrison the villagers, and the villagers get the final hit and they eat away. This is actually pretty taxing to do when the alternative method requires so little work, and like I said, villagers were not really dying under TCs. And if a player fails this trick, the boar just disappears, meaning you've just lost 340 food, and maybe the game. This trick originated from laggy Nomad days. You need food right away on Nomad, but sometimes you don't have sheep. So players figured out a way to improvise to kill boars without the risk of losing villagers in the Toaster PC days. As years went on, there were a few pros who started to do this in normal situations. The big one that you'll probably know of is Mr. Yo, who's done this for years, while most other high-level players wouldn't take the risk. Now, I think there's 2 reasons it's become more prevalent. First, we now have servers. No longer is it a peer-to-peer connection where you have to worry about a lag spike ruining your TC trick. Second one is, it actually makes it a bit easier to get the boar directly underneath your town center. Whereas with the normal lore, there's less space due to the villagers, and sometimes boars bug out. In the first 3 Hidden Cups, Yo was an easy guess as he was one of the only ones doing this. But now, it's almost the other way around. I spent the last few weeks combing through recorded games of every Hidden Cup 4 player, and I didn't tell anyone because I knew if they were to find out, they might change it up a bit to try and throw us off. And since round 1 and round 2 are played behind closed doors and then casted with spoiler-free recorded games, the rounds have already been completed even though we're just seeing the games. It's live for us, and it's too late for them to go back and try and change anything now that I've released this video. This is what I found. 12 of the 16 Hidden Cup 4 participants use this trick on a regular basis. Most using the common method, which is 6 villagers into the town center, 2 volleys onto the boar, and then 1 volley from the villagers and the boar is dead. The second method has less risk, 5 villagers into the town center, 2 volleys from the TC, and then 2 volleys needed from the villagers to kill it off. Now, it is tough to rule out a player due to either method, because occasionally the second option is the only play if you don't have 6 villagers underneath your town center. So don't think about that too much, but here's some interesting info. Jordan, Velez, Fact, Nikov, Winchester, Viper, Kato, Leary, and Yo are using this TC trick on a regular basis. To the point where in my research, I can only find a few games, if any, where they shot a boar the old-fashioned way. Pretty crazy, right? ACCM and Vivi are in the 50-50 club. Occasionally they do it, occasionally they don't, so that might be a little confusing as you're trying to guess who's who. There are 4 players, however, that rarely, if ever, do this. Doubt, MBL, Barles, and Dogao. With Dogao being the slight exception, because out of the 20 to 30 games, he did do it one time, which honestly kind of pissed me off because he ruined the data, but whatever. So I asked Doubt about this when he was casting with me 2 weeks ago. This is what he had to say on the topic.
I would never dare to lure the boar with TC and kill. That's something that screams I will fail.
So that's a tell then in Hidden Cup 4, right? You are going to be like, I'm going to have a video on all this, but more and more now, a lot of high-level players are weakening the board with their TC and finishing it off with the villagers, but I don't see you doing that. So that's...
I will do that for Hidden Cup now. It's masterpiece.
Okay, well, I shouldn't have said anything. Anyways, thanks for the tease. Anyways, I really thought we'd have a tell to be able to guess you.
I will just kill it with TC. I will not do it, don't worry.
So I've talked about 15 players, but there is one player who is possibly the most unique when it comes to boars, and I can't wait to talk about this. You see, I couldn't tell anyone. I didn't want information getting back to him, or anyone for that matter. It's Hera. He's the only player from the lineup that I've seen go for 4-4-5 before the villagers get the final hit. He also occasionally goes 4-4-4, so 3 shots from the town center, having 4 being the common number in the TC. It works, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it does set him apart because it's consistently different from every other player in this event. Now, this isn't something that players can really use to guess their opponent because they can't scout it, but I thought it'd be a fun detail for you to look for. And I'm 100% just going to confuse myself more with this data, and it's probably going to make guessing a lot more difficult for you guys. But you know what? That's what makes Hidden Cup fun. And honestly, I'll just use this as an excuse later if I don't win the guessing competition. Anyways, that's all for now. Stick around, there will be more Hidden Cup 4 action coming up next.